What's up with y'all? We back at it again with another reaction video. It's your boy Rico Sin. Today we're gonna be reacting to The Small Town with the Big Missing Persons Problem. This is a series of videos. It's a true crime documentary by Eric Allen, or Eric Allen. I'm sorry, brother, if I'm butchering your name, but shout out to you. I haven't got into this yet, but we're gonna start this together. Feel me? If you like the video, drop a like button. You feel me? Hit the like button. Yeah, do that. And hit that subscribe button for your boy, for real, if y'all want to see some more of these videos. Put a lot of time to these, for real. I'm doing this off of Android. I'm really only watching the video on here and, doing my thingy thing. Yeah, so I appreciate y'all a lot for just watching and tuning in. Thank y'all. Thank everybody that supported, and about to get into it.
There's a small town on the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains in South Carolina called Walhalla. In this town, there is a community of people with a problem. In the past few years, there has been multiple deaths and disappearances in this group. I decided to try to get to the bottom of them. I spoke with family of the victims, the investigators on the case, and suspects. I'm likely going to be doing multiple seasons to cover these, but for this first season, I'm going to focus in on 3 of them. In January of 2019, 37-year-old April Jones was found dead in a workshop on her property.
Autopsy said looked like she had rope burns on her wrists, her ankles, her neck.
Her death was initially ruled a result of an accidental overdose and hypothermia, though evidence has since come to light that shows this might not be the case. Just 1 week after April was found dead, 26-year-old Faith Roach disappears. The last place she was seen was at a home that April was also at just 2 days before her death.
Horror movies are not made up to some of the stories we've been told.
Faith Roach is missing to this day. 3 months after Faith's disappearance, 32-year-old Kevin Craig is found on a hot summer day dead. He was barricaded from the inside of a room in his trailer. There were syringes found next to him, but no drugs found in his system. His death was ruled as a result of heat exposure and seizures. Similar to April's death, information has been brought to light that could change this, and the sheriff's office even wrote up warrants to charge someone with Kevin Craig's murder.
Our investigators have determined Kevin Craig was murdered because of what he knew about the disappearance of Faith Roach.
So to recap, we'll be investigating the death of April Jones, the disappearance of Faith Roach, and the death of Kevin Craig,
2 deaths and 1
and attempting to see if all 3 of these cases are actually connected. Going into this, I had no idea what I was actually getting myself into.
This is a complete game changer for you.
I ain't gonna hold y'all. If y'all saw a little shorty in the beginning, my bad, I paused it real quick, but if y'all saw a little shorty in the beginning and you watched the video yesterday, what was the 10 signs of stimulant abuse? No kids, No kids, y'all. I ain't trying to make a joke out of it, but yeah, I'm terrible. Let me stop. Yeah. Y'all know though. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Come on now. That ain't your average rocking chair. My name.
You do not know how much danger you will be in.
Mountain Mister.
Before we dive into the details, let's lay some groundwork. Oconee County, South Carolina, where Walhalla is located, is in the northwestern part of the state, bordering Georgia and North Carolina. The county from the south end to the north end is a gradient of foothills up to the Blue Ridge Mountains. The west border of the county runs along the Chattooga River, with North Georgia on the other side. The east border runs along a series of connected lakes. It's a truly beautiful area. My first trip to the area to film was as the weather was cooling down and the leaves were changing colors. Driving through the winding mountain roads felt like an oddly calm contrast to the reason for me being there in the first place, to get to the bottom of these tragic mysteries. By the way, my name is Eric Allen. I live about 4 hours from Oconee County on the coast in Beaufort, South Carolina. If you follow true crime, you'll know that's the area the Murdaugh saga has been unfolding in, and that's actually how I got my start in true crime. But that's another story. Walhalla, South Carolina is a small town on the foothills. It calls itself the gateway to the Blue Ridge Mountains. Many of the people I spoke to in the area lived there their whole lives, and many of them, their families did as well, for generations before them. And that was the case for 58-year-old Andy Jones, the husband of April Jones. He grew up in Walhalla and later built his own home on the same road he grew up on. This is where him and April lived when April passed. This house was different from many of the older trailers that lined the same road. It was a well-built, cozy wooden home that, like I said, Andy actually built himself. The road that this home is on, though, has some sketchier areas to it. One of the disappearances I'll be covering next season, a man named Josh, was last seen a quarter mile down the road. There's also a death I'm covering next season where a man was beaten with a bat before he was left inside his trailer that was subsequently lit on fire, burning with him inside. Again, this occurred
all the murder mystery
and
Scooby-Doo shit alone.
April Jones was found lying in the back corner of the workshop on her and her husband's property. She had been on a multi-day drug bender, and the official ruling of April's death was overdose and hypothermia. The report says she has bruises consistent with a fall, but I've seen the photos of April's body. She was covered in bruises and wounds, and markings on her wrist and neck made it look as if she may have even been tied up. I spoke with April's mother.
I walked in, and I looked at him and I said, that's not my kid. And when you look at him, you'll know why.
Yeah.
All right, you tell me. Look at these. This was around her neck. Okay. This was her neck. That was her feet.
Wow.
Okay. Look at this.
This is supposed to be consistent.
This is her hands. You know, she fell.
She fell.
And he said this woman
I mean,
fell.
would she fall off of a cliff? I mean...
Her family does not believe that she died from an overdose and hypothermia. We'll get into the details of her death later, but first, let's get to know April Jones. April had grown up in Walhalla. She was 37 years old when she died and left behind her husband, 3 kids, and numerous friends and loved ones.
April was my oldest daughter. She was rambunctious, to say the least. I mean, you know, she came into this world screaming and probably went out screaming, if I know her. She had her problems. You know, she got involved with the drugs. I don't deny that. The drugs took a hold of her. She would do great for a while, and then it was just like, you know, back into it. She thought she could save everybody. It didn't matter if somebody come to her and they needed a place to stay, they was there. She tried to save everybody but herself. That's just the person she was.
She had a heart for others.
Yes, she wanted to save everybody.
I also spoke with April's daughter, Hannah. She's only 20 years old, but has lived more life than most.
My mama, she was the light of this entire town. She was on both sides of the town, you know, like she had that reputation of, you know, doing drugs or whatever, but then she also had the other side where it was like, she was a damn good person. Everybody loved her. Every person she came around, like that smile ear to ear. She just had that, like you walk in a room and it's like, you know, she brought sunshine with her.
April spent years in and out of jail before going to prison for 2.5 years. When she got out, she started getting her life back together.
Everything was getting normal, really. That's what it felt like. Then everything just kind of got stripped away again. As soon as I started actually getting a relationship with my mom for the first time in 14 years, you're gonna take her away from me.
When I spoke with April's mother, April's best friend had tagged along as well.
Matter of fact, I was going to the Potter's house and she
sadness
called
in
me
her
and she
eyes,
was
yeah.
crying. She's like, JJ, I'm getting baptized Sunday. Will you go to church
baptized.
with me? I said, I will be there with bells on. Seeing her take that step in life, I was so happy for her because I watched her overcome so much.
But the drugs would end up getting a hold of her again, and drugs did change April in a massive way.
When she would come around me, I would know right then. I mean, she would be high-strung, into everything. I mean, just, you know, wide open.
Yeah.
Wide open. She was a good person, no doubt. But drugs are the devil.
Okay. Just like what she said, though, like, and this goes out to anybody that's dealing with drug addiction or has a family member that's dealing with it. You can usually tell when that person is usually on drugs, especially if you know them very well. You can tell if they're not themselves or that they've reverted back to the addiction. And addiction is a very powerful thing. Like, you shouldn't judge anyone, like, for what they're going through, you know? Like, addiction is a disease like any other disease, you know. It's just the circumstances that it can put you in are unlike any other. You know, I've seen people change to it, you know, my own family, friends, you know. So my heart goes out to anybody that goes through that or is suffering through it now. And if it's you, please understand you are loved. A lot of the times people go through these addictions and then they fight their problems and their pain with drugs because they feel like they're by themselves or that the drug is all that they have. But there are people around you that love you very much so, you know? Try your best to remember that at all times. And if your loved one is going through it, try your best to be patient with them. Try your best to show them the love and care that you would want if it was you. I do a lot of funny videos and things like that. But this one kind of hit home. It's a little bit more serious. And, you know, like I said, thank you for watching. We're going to get back into the video.
A few days before her death, April got in a huge argument with her family.
Last time I seen her, it was an argument because I woke up that morning and my car's gone. Where's my car? I was livid. Cussed Mama everything she was worth. And she brings it back and she's got baskets and baskets of clothes and there's chocolate syrup all on my fucking seat.
Gosh.
So I got in the car and I was taking her home. She was in my face screaming on the way home. I slammed on the brakes. She went to the dash. Crazy shit. The last memory I have of my mom. Imagine sitting with that one for 4 years. Still gonna sit with it for the rest of my life, but.
When she left my house, she hijacked my cell phone. We got into it, and Hannah, which is the oldest daughter, went to take her home back to Andy's, and she told me, she said, "You'll need me before I need you." Last words. I never saw her again until under the truck.
Yeah. I know all this doesn't paint April in the best light, and I'm not trying to make excuses for her, but I learned so much from my times in Walhalla. Certain drugs can cause people to do or say things they would never do or say with a clear mind. Anyways, April then went on a multi-day drug bender and spent her last few days at a few homes near her house.
And I feel like I failed her because, before my mama died, or was found dead, the neighbors, they came all the way up to my nana's and they was like, April, she's in the house, she's a little everywhere, you need to come get her.
Trying not to get anything in the camera.
We'd been dealing with her for almost 2 weeks beforehand. Went and got her. Andy was here, or thought he was. We're just tell Andy to get her. He's right there as his wife.
Yeah.
And I know now that if we would have just gotten up and went and got her, she wouldn't be dead. She wouldn't.
After speaking with Hannah, Andy walked me down to the workshop where he found April to tell me about the night he found her. Going to all these locations and interviewing the people involved in these stories means that these documentaries take a long time to make, and I wouldn't be able to do it without the support of my sponsors. I want to thank Factor for not only making this video possible, but for helping me stay on track with my health goals throughout my hectic schedule. Factor makes me...
Probably gonna skip this. He got a little ad in his.
After speaking with Hannah, Andy walked me down to the workshop on the property where he found his wife, April. This was a surreal moment for me. When you spend so much time researching and preparing and thinking about a case, then you find yourself standing in the place where the incident actually occurred. There's a weight to it, and I don't really know how else to explain it.
Kids don't come down here anymore. I do very little. I found April laying right there. When I came in, coming home from work, it was 1 a.m. I saw the lights on in here, and you see under that door. And at the time, my son, I got a son that's 23 now, he and some of his friends would come here and hang out in the evenings, drink beer. I just thought they'd been here and left and got to turn the lights off. So I stopped and going to cut the lights off. When I opened that door, when I pushed it back, I saw her laying in here.
He explained that his truck was backed into the workshop and April was found.
Okay, so April's husband found her in the workshop. We're gonna note that right there. You know, keep that in your mind. You feel me? There's gonna be a
Lying
series
in
of
the
videos that
small
we're watching.
space between the
just
truck
keep all this
and the
stuff in mind.
workshop
It's a lot of
wall.
information.
And I came over and felt of her. Just tried to feel a pulse, and the instant I touched her, I knew she was dead. Her skin felt different.
Let me get a quick shot of this, and we don't need to spend too much time in here. Andy had found April after getting off work late Monday night, technically early Tuesday morning, at around 1 a.m. Here's a few excerpts from the police report. Quote, "I walked over to the victim and immediately noticed some unusual red markings on her right wrist and hand area that looked like scratches, as well as several other markings which did not appear to be scratches. I also observed what appeared to be bruises on her right forehead." The coroner then advised that he was ruling this as a suspicious death at this time. At the address next door, we met a Thomas Smith at the front door who had the odor of alcoholic beverage on his person. Thomas stated the victim was brought to his house by 2 males in a truck.
The last time she was seen alive, she was at Thomas Smith's house. Word. 2 men brought her there in the truck. Word.
He did not know them.
Just
He
making sure
did
y'all
state that
following
the
along.
victim had been at his house on the past Saturday and had stayed through Sunday morning, leaving around 9 a.m. He indicated that she crossed his side yard to return to her home. He stated that she was known to be a drug user and believed that she was high on her drug of choice, meth. He went on to report that she left Sunday morning without additional issues and seemed to be in good health. So let's recap the last few days of April's life. She had stolen her mother's phone and went on a multi-day drug binge. According to the next-door neighbor Tom, she was brought to his place by 2 men in a truck. He says he didn't know them. April was at his place Saturday and stayed through Sunday morning. This is the last time she was seen alive. Andy told me he was in the workshop on Sunday night with his daughter and April was not there. She is found late Monday night, early Tuesday morning, locked in the workshop on her property. What April was doing between Sunday morning when she is last seen and when she's found is unknown. The police end up ruling April's death a result of an accidental overdose and hypothermia. But why would April not just walk to her home next to the workshop? The workshop was not heated. And why would she lock herself in? And what about the condition of her body? None of this made any sense to April's family.
I know as well as I'm sitting here that my daughter didn't kill herself. She didn't lay down under that truck and just die.
To be honest, I think she struggled. She struggled with somebody. It looked like she'd been drugged. The autopsy said she had rope burns on her wrists, her ankles, her neck, and they said it looked like she'd been tied in the downward doggy position for 2 hours. Did a rape kit, came back clean, whatever. She had no panties, no bra on, whatever. None of it made sense, so I think, she struggled to try and get away from whoever it was.
I think if we want to figure out what happened to April, we need to dive deeper into the days leading up to her death. After April got in the argument with her family and stole her mother's phone, she was at a home April's mother calls the White House. The White House is about 1.5 miles from April's home and was a well-known place in the area to get drugs. Faith Roach, who went missing a week after April died, was also at the White House around this time. A man named Kevin Maylor could often be found there.
People would tell me that she was at the end of my dirt road at the White House, meeting Kevin Maylor, getting drugs. I have been told that Faith was out there.
Really, that same time with. Can you say who told you that?
No, I'd rather not.
That's fine.
That's a good source.
Okay. Kevin Maylor, who many in this area refer to as Boston, is 56 years old. He's a known drug dealer in the area, or at least was, and has a long history of crime over the years. He's spent about 8 of the last 10 years in prison. Before he moved to Walhalla, South Carolina in around 1996, he lived in Massachusetts where he was a suspect in the disappearance of a young woman named Jennifer Fay, who went missing in 1989. I won't be covering Jennifer Fay in this series, but there is a podcast by Barstool Sports called The Case, who covered her as well as some of the other people in this series. I'd encourage you to listen to them after this series to get a different perspective on things. Anyways, you'll hear me and others in this podcast refer to Kevin Maylor sometimes as Boston and sometimes as Kevin, so just keep in mind that that's the same person. Kevin Maylor's name has been brought up in all 3 of these cases that we're going to be investigating, and at the time of writing this has murder charges written up for him for the 3rd case, Kevin Craig. Through my investigations, I came up with multiple scenarios as to what could have happened with each case, and there's one scenario that links Kevin Maylor with them all.
Kevin Wayne Maylor is being charged with murder and kidnapping and the death of Kevin Craig.
Our investigators have determined Kevin Craig was murdered because of what he knew about the disappearance of one of our missing persons, being Faith Roach.
Through my investigation, I found reason to believe that Faith may have disappeared because she had knowledge that could implicate Kevin Maylor in the death of April Jones.
Okay. He was about to say it, I feel like, but I'm going to say it too. Yeah. They're trying to say, like, this girl disappeared, Faith, because of April. Alright? So these 2 disappearances are connected in a way. Well, one of them died, the other one, disappeared. We're not too sure. We don't know what happened yet. So, yeah, okay. Just making sure. We all there.
So the theory is that Kevin Maylor killed April Jones, and in order to cover his tracks, he had to get rid of Faith. Then, in order to cover his tracks from getting rid of Faith, he had to get rid of Kevin Craig. But this was just my initial theory early on. Is there any truth to it? What evidence do we have for or against it? And what other theories are there for each case? There is a lot to cover in this series, and I want to encourage you to hold your opinions lightly and be open to changing them as new information is provided. I'll try to look for biases I might have in the research and creation of this documentary, as well as biases you as a listener might have, and describe them as we go. We'll start this now with the complexity bias. The Farnham Street blog describes the complexity bias as, quote, a logical fallacy that leads us to give undue credence to complex concepts. Faced with 2 competing hypotheses, we are likely to choose the more complex one. That's usually the option with the most assumptions and regressions. End quote. This doesn't mean the complex hypothesis is the wrong one, just that statistically it's the less likely one, even though we as humans have a tendency to see it as the more likely one. I think there's even more to it when it comes to a series like this. The more complex theories are simply more interesting and, for lack of a better word, entertaining. Just remember that this doesn't make them more likely to be true. Back to the story. At the time of writing this, Boston is in prison for possession of meth with intent to distribute. But when I first went to Walhalla, I was able to speak with someone who was very close with Boston. We'll call this person Person A. They remember the night that April died. Well, I've changed Person A's voice for this series.
January 28th is when April got killed. And I say got killed because her mom showed me them pictures, man, and that girl didn't, that's not, no.
Here's Person A referring to Boston.
You had something to do with that shit that happened to April because he left here at 11:30. And I'll never forget this. It was not raining when he left, but when he came back, it was, and it was 2:30.
I'm just going to pause it one more time. Boston is Kevin Maylor. Kevin Maylor is said to have killed April Roach, disappeared Faith, and then killed oh my god. I'm sorry, y'all, English. It's my first language, but I speak it like it's my last. And he killed Kevin Craig because of these things, So, alright, let's do that over again, right? Boston is Kevin Maylor. Kevin Maylor has been said to have killed April, Faith, and Kevin Craig. So there's 2 Kevins. Kevin Craig is the one that got murdered. Kevin Maylor, Boston, is the one who is the murderer. Or said to be. Supposedly. Allegedly. These things are not set in stone. We are just watching the first video. And there's a series of these. So, we'll see. We'll find out. But I basically paused it to, see where you guys were at. And also say, just put that in line real quick. Kevin Maylor Boston is said to have killed April, disappeared Faith because she knew about April's killing, and then disappeared Kevin Craig because he knew about the killings of both. You know? So that's how we're going to put that in line. That is allegedly, though. And, yeah. You know, we're about to get back into the video, though. All right.
Yeah. And he was running and he ran in the house. Him and Barry both ran in the house.
Person A also mentions the name Barry. This is referring to Barry Neal, who was a good friend of Kevin Maylor's, as well as his driver when Boston was selling drugs. I did get to speak with Barry Neal, and we'll talk more about him in future episodes. So let's take a look at this timeline. The neighbor says at some point April was brought to his home by two...
Alright, y'all. I got a call real quick. I had to take that. My apologies, but we back at it. Yeah, but this nigga on the JPay, though, he's different. He's getting to the nitty gritty, ain't he, yo? He nosy. Yeah, he Trent certified, too. He different. He's different, don't it? Yeah. Well, so far, where we at with it? Kevin Maylor killed Kevin Craig, killed April, and he killed Faith. He killed April, then he killed Faith because Faith knew about April. Then he killed Kevin because Kevin knew about both killings. Now this guy named John Evans has evidence that says that he kind of admitted to it in a letter that he sent him to jail because they were back and forth pen pals kind of shit. So now we're about to get the word from Kevin Maylor to see what's going on from Boston. Boston himself is about to speak to us. So I'm about to play that for y'all.
This is a global Link prepaid call from.
Keep this stuff in mind, y'all.
Hey,
Kevin, it's not concrete you doing, man? Evidence against him, you know? It's all alleged.
Having a hard time, but I'm doing.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm okay. You know, man, I really appreciate you being willing to speak with me. We chat a bit and break the ice before I dive in and ask about April. I don't bring up the John Evans letter because I don't know if he knows that it was written.
I don't think my daughter realizes how serious this is.
Yeah.
Because she knows me. She knows. I mean, I was basically a stay-at-home dad. I basically raised her. I went to all the school functions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all the trouble I've been in for the past 10 years is all because I got hooked on pills.
Yeah.
And that was it for me. That just. But I mean, you know, this is my fourth time in prison. I've never been written up. Not one write-up. Never been arrested for a violent crime. So why am I going to wait 50-something years to start killing people? That don't make no sense. And when I agreed to talk to you, I'm talking to you 100%.
Yeah.
So I'm in this. If I'm going to talk to you about one thing, I'm opening up for everything.
If we could start with April Jones, tell me about your relationship with April. Did you know her?
Yes, I know. I've known her for a long time, about 8 years, 10 years. Oh, we were friends. We did drugs together. The last time I saw her was 2 days before they found the body. Hey, there's a lot of things that weren't being told. She was having an affair with her next door neighbor because that's the last place I seen her. What happened was they had picked me up, gave me a ride, her and the next door neighbor. I had left my phone in the truck, so I went to pick up my phone that night. So I went to the neighbor's house, and she finally came out of the woods. She was scared to death, and it was the first time. I mean, I told you I'd known her 8-10 years. It was the first time I've ever seen her carrying a gun. She said she was hiding from her husband. There had been a history of abuse between them two. I don't know if he knew about her and the neighbor, but it had been going on for a long time. And I'm not saying nothing bad about her because I like the girl a lot.
Yeah.
She really was a good girl. She just was an addict.
Yeah.
Just like the rest of us.
I spoke with Kevin Maylor many times, and we'll touch on those conversations in future episodes. But at this point, I was hearing a lot of things from a lot of people. There was one person I still really needed to speak with, though, John Evans. I thought to myself that maybe I could get a hold of John Evans in prison and speak with him. Maybe John was the key to finally solving this case and bringing April's family answers and closure. But then I got a phone call from a source that would leave me absolutely shocked.
Hey, I hope I'm not bothering you.
No, you're good.
I just want to tell you, okay, so, do you remember you was asking about John Evans?
Yeah.
He's dead.
Next on Mountain Mystery. I was either listening to a man who was responsible for the
Jinkies.
nigga,
what?
Fake grief, or listening to a
Who
man
ain't
who
dead?
was genuinely
Who ain't dead?
grieving because he lost a close friend. What do you say to that?
Who in this motherfucker alive?
No idea which one is true.
Faith went to the bathroom. She heard two men beating the snot out of a female. The next day, they found April Jones dead.
After my life, everybody's took everything else from me. I had nothing, and you still took everything from me.
Click this video to watch the next episode right now. Also, I've got a podcast version of this episode with a bunch of extra information included. It's almost 20 minutes longer. Details are in the description below. See you on the next one.
Alright, y'all. That was the end of the video. This is probably going to be our longest reaction that we did so far. But a lot of these videos are pretty long, so this is going to be like a long series of videos. So if y'all into that, then tune in, you feel me? I appreciate everybody who watched this all the way through. This was very interesting, like very interesting. I'm sorry for my little half-ass commentary, but you know, I'm just trying to help y'all stay with it and stay in tune with everything that's going on with what he's saying, you know, so that we can tie the facts together. And all right, so being that this is the end of this video, you know, what do we know so far? What are the facts? Okay, so Boston, Kevin Maylor, he is being said to have allegedly killed April Roach, killed Faith, and then killed Kevin Craig. Now, we're going to go in the list of how this all happened. Like I said before, kind of laid that out before, but we're going to just do it right here again. Kevin Maylor, Boston, killed April, killed Faith because she knew that he killed April, and then killed Kevin Craig because he knew about both killings. And now that he spoke to Kevin Maylor, he talked to Boston through the jail phone or whatever. This nigga was on the JPay and shit. Being that he did that, he's saying that he had nothing to do with that. She was having an affair with her next door neighbor. There's a lot of information that's being left out here, and I feel like he is being singled out. But you know, like I said, all this is alleged, and we're just going based off what we have right now. So don't make any conclusions yet. I haven't made any conclusions yet. I'm just telling y'all what the information is based on what I just heard, you know. And I just paused in between, you know, make sure everybody was up to date on this information that we were listening to. So I don't know who that random anonymous caller is too, so I guess we're going to figure out who that is eventually too. There's a lot of information here, so if y'all was into that, if y'all fuck with that, you know, come back for the next video. You know, give me some likes. You know, let your boy know you fuck with it. Drop a comment or something, you know. But yeah, it's your boy Rico sending we out, and I appreciate everybody who tuned in. Oh, what Big Glow say? Hold on, I can't end it out without that. At the end of the day going in.
Say that you love me, lil' shawty. Say that you love me, lil' shawty. Say that you love me, lil' shawty. I know you don't love me, but why would you lie to me? Shit made me hard in the heart, then it tore me apart, and you said you would ride for me. I used to think how you hurt me and wipe my own tears. Remember you cried to me. I put my heart in the coffin, been feeling exhausted. It feel like I'm losing myself.